Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome on into another Rooted podcast, of course, brought to you by our awesome friends over at Green Bros, the world leaders in cannabis harvesting equipment. Tim Strommel coming to you from our Rooted podcast production facility out here in beautiful but freezing cold Denver, Colorado. Thanks for being with us. Thanks for tuning in wherever you're hearing us. iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube, StayRooted.com. All of those sites you can find our podcast and our Rooted TV platform as well. We are very pumped for this show this afternoon. We'll get to it in just a second. Before we get in, I do want to remind you to check out our Rooted TV platform, airing on Cannabis Club TV inside of dispensaries, and their web platform Harvest TV in hydro stores. That one is new. And High Times TV. I don't have to tell you much about that. You've heard of High Times. Go check us out on High Times TV. You can also stream it via their Roku app. Very exciting stuff. So be sure to check out the show. We have our interviews, by the way, with Jim Belushi and Tommy Chong coming up soon. We just got back from filming those this last weekend in LA at their houses. So just a very cool experience, and we can't wait to share that with you guys here shortly. We're editing them, getting them approved by all the people that we need to, and they'll be out pretty soon. As for this show, you are in store for an awesome one, as we'll be talking with Garyn Angel, the founder and CEO of Magical Butter. In addition to being an award-winning financier, inventor, and philanthropist, Garyn has worked to become one of the cannabis industry's leading entrepreneurs. His flagship invention is the Botanical Extractor, which, if you've seen or heard of Magical Butter, you've probably seen this device before. It's the world's first countertop appliance designed to infuse the essence of herbs into food. We're going to find out where this idea came from, what's been the most important part of this entire process of building this crazy monster of a company that is Magical Butter, and a ton more when we welcome in Garyn in just a moment. But first, a quick shout out to our awesome sponsors, of course, brought to you by Green Bros, home of the world's premier dry harvesting solutions, from small scale cultivations all the way up to your granddaddy commercial grows. Green Bros dry trimmers, trichome extractors, destemmers, sorters, precision batchers, the box, the rosin extraction machines. All those machines want to save you time, money, and labor. Check them out, greenbros.com, or call 844-DRY-TRIM to schedule a free demo in your area today. That's 844-DRY-TRIM. Lastly, you can check out Green Bros at NECAN, the convention in Boston, March 22nd to 24th, Lift in Toronto, June 6th to 9th, and NCIA San Jose, July 22nd to 24th. So if you're going to those shows, make sure you plan on stopping by the Green Bros booth. Again, greenbros.com if you want to check them out. Okay, without any further ado, let's welcome in Garyn Angel, the founder and CEO of Magical Butter. Their motto, "Together we win." You can check them out, magicalbutter.com, and the website will, of course, be linked in the description of the podcast below. Garyn, thank you so much for joining the show, coming to us from Florida, man. You must be having a heck of a time out there instead of here in freezing cold Denver. Keeps snowing out here, man.
Yeah, Tim, it's definitely the weather here is perfect. I'm in shorts. I was walking my dog today, and I got a little sweaty. So it's Florida weather is back, and it's beautiful right now.
Oh, just throw it in my face. I'd have to put on so many layers to sweat right now. And I might not even be able to go outside. I'd have to sit inside. Now, we met years ago. We haven't talked in a little while, so luckily for this podcast, I have a ton of questions I want to ask you. First off, to give the listeners some context on the off chance they haven't heard about Magical Butter, tell me what Magical Butter is all about.
Magical Butter is devices and products that allow you to take cannabis and bring them into your home. And you take a flower, you stick it in the machine with a butter and oil and alcohol, push two buttons, and the machine's going to extract the molecules from the cannabis plant into those lipids, and now you have an infused base. So you've got a butter that you can cook anything you want with, an oil, a tincture, which you can reduce down and make it concentrate. The idea is that everybody should be empowered to create the recipes they want, how they want them. It's not about just brownies and cookies, but soup, sauces, salad dressings. How do you incorporate all of these dietary essentials into your meal plan? And we provide the tools for the customers to do that.
Now, Garyn, before Magical Butter, you're working in the financial world. How did this idea even come to pass? It seems like such a far, in a way, extract, I guess is a decent word to say, from what you were doing.
You got to help people in life. And I had a friend with Crohn's disease. He was struggling. He was inhaling cannabis, and that wasn't working because of his asthma. Looking for a way to get cannabis into his bloodstream through edibles. And there was, go back to 2010, right? And we're in 2019 now. So that's forever ago in the cannabis industry. But in 2010, there was nothing to do this. So we started the process, designed it, innovated it, and it's spread around the world. Now our products are sold in the US, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, EU, UK, South Africa, Mexico. So it's really help people and your product sells.
You mentioned that you're all over the globe now. I've been following you guys since back in 2014, 2015. And I see, I mean, you've been on this steady arc going up, you know, that hockey, the hockey stick arc that everyone wants as an entrepreneur. Why do you think people have been so receptive to Magical Butter? And then a follow-up question, everyone's got a product in the cannabis space and they're trying to launch a product to get kind of where you are. What have you done differently that's really separated you from all these other products trying to do something similar?
Few things. One is we invest in the community so heavily. For us, when you buy a Magical Butter product, you're really supporting the industry because that's what we support, whether it's lobbyists or activism or patients, parents, whatever it is, we're trying to help people. And that just reigns true. When you're at the core authentic about who you are and what you provide for your customers, your brand's going to do well. And that's, for us, it's about people. You have to have, there's three things that entrepreneurs need. They need to be timed right. Well, we're timed right. We opened our doors the day before cannabis became legal in Washington and Colorado. I think that's about as good a timing as you can have. The product has to work. Our product works incredibly well. We've won 7 cannabis cups. So we're giving value to the customer. And then the third thing, which is the single most important, is what's the energy of your team? Are you a family? Do you really put it out there in the world where people feel the energy you have? And do they just want to meet you and give you a hug and be a part of your organization? Because ultimately, if they do, they buy your product. And that's what we've built. We've built something that we're a huge family. This community that's been formed at Magical Butter, it continues to expand, but it's all just good love. It's great people. It's people that want to help each other and learn new things, not be afraid of trying and making mistakes. So the people we've attracted are just beautiful. Beautiful.
You mentioned growing it and having those people and that core team. I've seen a lot of the same core people at events year over year. So I think that speaks to the longevity of people wanting to work with you and your company. So I think that's great. If you could tell me about the early days of Magical Butter and some of the bottlenecks or setbacks you had to overcome to get this where it is today.
Tremendous hurdles when you're building a business. We've dealt with every single component that you could imagine going wrong, like car accidents, thefts, shipments being lost, delayed issues at factories, every challenge. The unique thing though, our attitude when something bad happens, the first thing we do is we press pause, we take a step back, we evaluate the situation, and we don't first figure out how to fix it. We first figure out what we can learn from it. And once we can identify what we're actually learning from this process we're going through, the fix comes instantaneous. And I think for a lot of entrepreneurs out there that might be listening, that's the roadblock. You're stuck in this problem and you're just focused on the problem. Start focusing on what you're going to learn from the problem, and you'll find the solution.
Part of the appeal in following your project of Magical Butter for me all these years is seeing the crazy lifestyle ideas that you guys come up with and implement in terms of marketing. Like I saw years ago, the school bus you brought to the trade show, you're playing loud music and telling people about the products. If people want to follow you guys on Instagram, either you or Magical Butter, they'll see you guys doing all kinds of really cool stuff. Where did that idea come from to really bring more of a lifestyle feel into Magical Butter?
This is a lifestyle, and you're 100% right. The reason why we've gained the following and the traction we have is it's interesting. You've got a group of wonderful, positive people going out there and traveling the world, telling this message at a time when sometimes it's a little early, sometimes it's very accepted, but you're doing it and you're getting hugs from the politicians you're working with. A lot of it too is the way we position everything. So we did the world's first cannabis food truck. We took that truck all over the United States, and it was a great media asset for us. We went from LA to DC, did 13 stops one year supporting veterans. We went from Seattle to DC, another year supporting pediatric cannabis therapies. And when there's a cause and a purpose, and it puts us into people's hometown, and it really, we get to know their community, right? And then they become a part of ours. And you have to have grassroots. If your boots are not on the ground in the cities you want to be in, there's a good chance your competition's there. And fortunately for us, we don't have competition because our boots are on the ground everywhere.
Garyn, you mentioned international distribution and being all these other countries. When you brought this machine overseas into all these different places, did they immediately understand it, or was there a level of education that was different than here in America?
It takes about 1 minute usually for the light to go off. You talk to people all the time, so you understand social dynamics. And the analogy that I use is when I'm teaching my son a math problem and I go through it, once he understands the process, I can visually watch in his eyes and in his face that light go on. And it's been that same experience telling what our products do to customers. As we get into the pitch, if you will, of what our products do, it's usually about 60 seconds in, and then they're grabbing the product out of our hand and saying, so this is all I have to do. And when you've got that kind of translational, need, right? Like they identify the product and then they instantly see that this is something that they need in their life. And it works. That's our process.
Again, you can check them out, magicalbutter.com. They're based out in Florida. Garyn, obviously not one of the western states that you mentioned, like Washington, Colorado, even Oregon, California, that jumped out ahead of the cannabis legalization movement at the state level. Tell me about Florida and where Florida is now versus when you started.
So Florida has a medical program. It's been a challenging state, to say the least, as most states have. The medical program and the product that's actually in the marketplace right now is pretty good. They're putting excellent products on the shelves, I feel like. The one spot that's still missing is there's no CBD drug delivery on these cannabinoids. And I don't think that's nearly as important with THC because the amount of psychotropic effect. But with CBD, it really matters how much of it you're able to get into the bloodstream. So that's kind of the next wave that I expect to sweep across the world, really, is now that we've understood cannabinoids in a medical context, and it's been approved in a medical context globally for the most part. Now it's about drug delivery.
For those who haven't used the Magical Butter machine, obviously it's very easy. You mentioned it takes less than a minute to understand how it works. Can you tell me the process of using one of these machines?
I can, and it's going to give me a good chance to segue into, this is the first time this has been seen in public, but this is our new product that's coming out. This is Magical Ghee. And watch, we're going to be doing a giveaway. So actually we'll give you some to promote your podcast, to do a giveaway too. But so this is a great butter. You take this ghee butter, stick it in your machine, then take your flour or concentrate, whatever, but flour typically is what people use. Take your flour, stick it in the machine, you push 2 buttons. It's so simple. Everybody can do it. You get consistency. So the challenge, right, and I guess some of your listeners might be saying, well, can I just use a crock pot? You can use a crock pot. You can use some of those technologies. You lack consistency. And when you're dealing with edibles, consistency is one of the biggest challenges. So I would encourage people to, if they're going to make it, however they're going to make their cannabis infusions, just get to a point where you have a standard operating procedure. So based on what you're going to put in, what you're going to get out, and then the experience you're going to consume. And it's an important landscape to lay out as we discuss edibles and at-home edibles too.
So what is that ghee butter? What's in that?
So this is a beautiful clarified butter. It's one of the best fats you can have. We have coffee coming out, gummies coming out. We have all the consumables, and there'll be CBD infused, non-CBD infused, so the customers can have their choice. But for us, it's always the highest quality product. How do you give that customer what they're looking for without them even knowing what they're looking for until they experience it, and then they say, I can taste the difference, or I can see the difference. And this is definitely one of those products. We're really excited about this. There's a lot more coming from us in all of those consumable products. So stay tuned and stay on it. We have a ton of giveaways on our social channels. If you follow us, there's a good chance you'll win.
Again, check them out, Magical Butter. I'll also link their social channels in the description of the podcast, so you can go check that out. So you come from a successful background in finance. I'm interested in your thoughts on the ongoing lack of banking options for the cannabis space and the recent calls for Congress to adopt some sort of resolution or solution to the banking issue. Where do you stand on that?
I stand firmly with the industry. What's been laid out is unfair for entrepreneurs. It's a difficult landscape when you can't write your taxes off, you can't bank. They've made it so difficult to be successful for no reason. When you look at Canada and the landscape that they provided with regulatory framework, access to the capital markets, what's happened? Billions and billions and billions of dollars of new worth has been created, and hundreds of thousands of jobs have been created. So when you look at it, why wouldn't you apply banking? I'm a little upset in the way I look at it, because I'm from the finance industry. I love Canada. Canada's great. Actually, Magical Butter's getting ready to list in Canada. So for us, they have the right framework. But why don't we? It's bullshit. And there's no logical reason why politicians have been so slow to enact banking. If you think about it, we track this plant from seed to sale. Right? Every single plant that is sold from a dispensary, they have to mark this from the seed all the way to the sale. Now, when you're in finance, there's something called Know Your Customer and anti-money laundering, and it's all about getting away from cash transactions. But yet we take something that the federal government considers a drug, and we only allow it to transact in cash. We follow the plant from seed to sale, and then we don't give a shit about the business side of it, like the money, how all that's transacting. There's no official record of the magic that occurs there. So that's why, just as a finance guy, when I look at anti-money laundering laws and how many AML classes I had to do in the past for compliance purposes, and now this industry is the exact opposite for no logical reason.
So do you think your past in the finance industry has helped Magical Butter? Because you're a company that's just as disposed to banking issues as anyone else, right?
Without question. We have favorable banking relations with many U.S. institutions, and they finance our company. We don't have the same restrictions. A lot of that, I'm from the finance world. I understand how to navigate the space. Leadership matters, and not to pat myself on the back, I'm a strong leader. I have a tremendous amount of experience in working the capital markets and understanding banking and financial and HR. And so when you've got that established, it's a huge asset. Now what we've done, we brought on such a rock star team. Like our team internally was always incredible, right? Always incredible. And we have tripled down. So I'm not going to go into all the people yet because I want to save it a little bit. But I think we put together one of the most accomplished board of directors and board of advisors that exists in the cannabis industry. And it's equivalent to the way a Fortune 500 company would approach their board of directors and advisors. You're seeing this happen now quite a bit, but the talent that is really moving into this space now, then we can say it as it is, but experience matters. When you have people who've done this over and over and over again, the process is just easier than the first time you've paved the road.
And just to quantify that for our listeners, you're not the first person that I've heard make that comment on this show where if you can establish good relationships with banks, if you can establish, we know what we're doing, here's our books, here's how everything's working, they're a lot more receptive. It's not that there's no banking in the cannabis space. It's just that the bar is set higher, I think, for cannabis companies to have to operate with those banks. But people like you who know how to do it right are the ones that aren't having the problems. And it's very interesting to point that out. Now, another project you're involved in is your charity, Cheers to Goodness. It sounded really cool in the pre-interview, so I wanted to make sure I brought it up. Tell me more about that project.
Cheers to Goodness. This is, again, giving back to the community. That's why people buy our products, because they know that we support the community. And Cheers to Goodness is that it's the most beautiful organization that I'm a part of. All we do is goodness. So this year we gave away 420 machines to the medical patients of Puerto Rico. We felt that that was a good service. In prior years, we've helped veterans. Last Christmas, there was a AAA amputee who got into a car accident. We rallied up to help him buy a new car. There's been several families that were medical refugees, children with epilepsy or Crohn's disease, and they didn't have an ability to have access to CBD. So we relocated the family. We paid for their move out to beautiful places like Denver, California, where they could get the right. And then also for some of the families that are just financially hardshipped because there is no insurance reimbursement for these treatment options. And if you have a sick child or a sick parent or you're sick yourself, frequently you're spending $2,000, $2,500 a month out of pocket in hard cash to just stay healthy. And we've identified those bottlenecks, the people that really need help, and we've stepped up with our checkbook and our hearts and our network to help them. I love it. I love Cheers to Goodness. It's beautiful. And this industry is so different than many because the amount of goodness that is connected to the plant. There's so much good that comes out of it, and it's transformational. I had my mom's best friend, or my best friend from elementary school's mom had Parkinson's, and she still has Parkinson's, right? It's not gone, but let's rewind the clock 18 months. And she had, terrible shakes. It was a rough situation. And it took us, let's say, 4 months to get the mixes right. She came in the other day in high heels. She looked so beautiful, so sexy. She had her swag on. She's got it, right? And when you watch somebody and her blood work's immaculate, when you watch it, right, that's Cheers to Goodness right there. When you're able to take somebody who's going downhill and Western medicine has not provided them the solution, and you say, hey, I'm going to invest some of my hours into helping you. And then you win together, the amount of love that you get from that person, it's just, you can't replace it. And that's what Cheers to Goodness is. It's not about one individual. It's about putting together rooms of people that we've helped, they've helped us. Together we win, bring it all together, and just be a huge family.
Real quick, I want to let you know again, this podcast brought to you by our good buddies over at Green Bros, home of the world's premier dry harvesting solutions. And if you haven't heard, Green Bros just announced a partnership with Purigen, another company out in Florida, by the way, to bring you the box. This thing is crazy amazing. It was originally developed for tissue sterilization in the medical field for surgical implications, things like ACL replacement, ligaments, joints, that kind of thing. It would sterilize inside of this box. The box's remediation technology can eliminate mold or other microbial organisms in your harvest. It can also rehydrate your flower if it's become too dry, or even infuse terpenes into your flower, allowing you to create a one-of-a-kind flavor profile that is truly unique to your company, all using reactive oxygen technology, meaning no harmful microwaves or radiation that can drastically harm your flower or alter the flower DNA. Very important description for this product. You need to see it in action to believe it. Hit them up, greenbros.com. Call 844-379-8746 or info@greenbros.com for more information. We're talking with Garyn Angel, the founder and CEO of Magical Butter. Together we win is their motto. Hit them up, magicalbutter.com. Scroll on down and click the link in the description of the podcast to check out their site or their social platforms. Like Garyn said, plenty of giveaways here in 2019. Garyn, if I could ask you about 2020, obviously a huge election year in terms of a lot of government posts, the president, that kind of stuff. Now, if cannabis isn't federally legalized by election time, which probably won't be, let's be honest, what role do you think openly supporting cannabis legalization will play on the campaign trail for all the way to the president down to smaller offices? It seems like it's been getting more and more important for candidates to at least acknowledge this industry, right?
Without question, there's support at a federal level now that has not ever been achieved. I know that, for example, Rand Paul and Mitch McConnell have been tremendous advocates of the hemp industry, and they continue to push for smart legislation and legalization around farming initiatives for our American farmers who have been displaced because the tobacco industry evaporated. Beyond that, I know the USDA is starting to look at crop insurance and getting involved. So when you're looking at the different departments and the head politicians that are really starting to speak out, it would be very unfavorable for you to be anti-cannabis in 2020. I would imagine your chance of being elected would be close to zero. When you look at the sample size, like Florida, we had over 70% support medical cannabis on the ballot. Now, this is a unique demographic because it's skewed a lot towards the elderly population. We already know that most of the younger people are not conflicted by the years of misinformation and propaganda that the government spewed out there, and they're looking at the facts. And you see it as well. The retirees and the older population, they're sick of big pharma. So there's zero chance that as a politician you can be anti-cannabis on any stage, I feel, except for maybe small towns, and have any authenticity in 2020. I think if you're anti-cannabis, you're anti-American at this point, because it's helping too many people. And if you can't just open your damn eyes, don't run.
Do you think open supporters of cannabis who have announced they've used cannabis have a shot in winning large elections?
I think they're more favorable. What do you think? For me, I think that just in a very real, most people have tried cannabis. It's like saying most people have tried a beer. It's not a big deal. Everybody lived from it. I can't say that most people have tried cocaine. I can't say that most people have tried heroin, but there is a different level of drug, and cannabis is really a very safe molecule, and there's no reason there's no reason not to embrace it, especially for our politicians. It's interesting because I do think mushrooms are next, and I'm excited to watch mushrooms enter the marketplace and see how people interact with some of those light psychedelics and how they're able to repair and rewire their brain instead of just suppressing. A lot of our approach to date has been to suppress instead of repair or rebuild or rewire. And psychedelics, whether that's cannabis or mushrooms, really, those are the two. I'll leave it at. I think allow you to really get inside your own mind and take care of your anxiety. Whatever it is that's bothering you, whatever it is that's on your mind is probably there because you have something that you need to address internally. And once it's elevated like that through a mushroom or a cannabis session, it really lets you start to rewire. It helps. I'm sure. Has that been your experience as well? That's been mine.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think I agree with most of what you said there, because I think politicians have to address it. I think that the majority of 2020 politicians in more progressive states, and then hopefully more and more states, then I hope, even at this point, those candidates will either be neutral to cannabis or pro cannabis, or the typical, I don't smoke, but I'm not against it. That and that's fine too. But just it's exciting for them to acknowledge that this train is leaving, and they see more benefit, whether they believe it or not, to making sure, hey, I need to make sure I'm on the bandwagon here, because I don't want to be left behind, and I'm representing the people. And if the people want this, it doesn't matter what I believe. And we've seen more and more politicians lately, like just recently, Marilyn Mosby, who is the state's, I'm going to get this wrong. She is the Baltimore City's state's attorney, something like that. But she mentioned in Baltimore, they're not going to start prosecute cannabis possession crimes anymore. And that's huge because Baltimore is a largely urban population. 90% of the cannabis violations were given to people of color through the span of 2015 to 2017. And so to openly acknowledge this is a problem, we're going to address it, we're going to move on. It's just so refreshing. And certainly that's not the only instance in which this is happening. Now, I love getting to know our entrepreneurs and getting advice on this show from people just like you, Garyn, who are successful in a number of ways. What advice do you give to people who want to go out and create their own vision of a successful company, be it in the cannabis industry or somewhere else?
A few things. One, be so positive. Be positive around everything. Be positive around the process. Be positive around the customers. Be positive around your teammates. Because if you're not, you have no chance. So you're going to get hit with a lot of shit, and it's hard. Just in real talk, like when you're running a business. And there's also another, I think one of the other things, you always have enough time. You always have enough money. Do you always have enough patience? And that's really what it comes down to. As you're building this out, don't say, oh, I don't have time for this. Oh, I don't have, it's so overwhelming. You're feeding your brain toxic energy when that's coming out of your mouth. So delete that. And the other thing is, during the process, a lot of these startups are underfinanced. So the other thing that comes out of the mouth a lot of the time is we don't have enough money. So if you don't have enough time and you don't have enough money, your chances of success go down significantly. Change the verbiage coming out of your mouth. You always have enough money. It's always there right when you need it. And you always have enough time, because I don't care who you are. I hang out with the busiest, most important people in the world, and they make time. So anything you want to do, you can make time for. That's just an excuse for you to feel bad about your workload, and it's just, you're not feeding yourself good energy. I'd also suggest that invest in Blinkist and Audible, and really listen to accomplished leaders on their 15 steps that they did, and their 10 steps and their 7 steps. Not all of them are going to work for you. Not all of them are going to apply for you. Some of them are going to confuse you. You're going to try to implement some and they're going to fail. But it is part of the process. It's going to take you so much longer than you think it is. That's just because this isn't a 1-year thing or a 2-year thing. This is a lifestyle, a lifetime commitment, forever. So you're going to keep saying, oh, we're so close, we're so close, we're so close. The truth of the matter is, you're always going to be so close, because you have plenty of money and you have plenty of time. And that should be your mentality as an entrepreneur.
Have you ever dealt with self-doubt? You seem like such a positive person, but a lot of entrepreneurs, like I know me, even I've been on projects and I've been like, this sucks. Like no one's going to like this. And then you put it out and people are so excited about it and it makes you want to, do more. But how have you approached self-doubt when it's crept up?
I don't have a lot of self-doubt. When I move into something, my passion is so deep. If I'm really going to go for it, my passion is immense. So I don't doubt the process. The team has learned not to doubt the process. There was a point in time where I would come and I'd hop on a table and I'd come up with this crazy idea, and everybody would be looking at me, and there'd be 10 people saying why we can't do this. And now we've gotten to the point where when I hop up on a table and I come up with some new concept, we understand that it's a process, right? It doesn't have to you don't have to go from 0 to 100. You do have to go from 0 to 40, right? And then figure out how to go from 40 to 100. But you have to start this stuff. You can't. You can strategize yourself and do business plans till you're blue in the face. I think the strategy is really starting something. listening to the market, like what you said. How do you get something, like, do you put it out there and then it failed? If you've done the right focus group ahead of time, if you've really invested in what the customer wants, and then you give it back to them the exact same way that they told you they want it, you're probably going to win. You're probably going to be successful. And if you didn't do that part, you either had the wrong focus group or you didn't execute on delivering a product that worked.
Garyn, the last question before we get you out of here. What does the future look like for Magical Butter? You alluded to some stuff earlier. Tell me about it.
I love the future. Actually, I wish I could change to my sunglasses right now because it's so bright I got to wear shades. It's Magical Butter's in the process of of listing in Canada. We're going through our audit now, and we've met with the TSX, had favorable meetings with them, and that's our process, is go out. I expect for us to make a couple of significant acquisitions that I think most of the people will know the brands behind them. They're beautiful companies. And that's what we're doing. We're building an even larger family through acquiring companies that we think are best in class in what they do, that are accretive to Magical Butter's existing product line.
Garyn, as you have information in the next coming months, year, 2 years, don't forget to hit us up and we'll get you back on the show. I'd love to learn more. I have a bunch more questions I could have got to today, but I try to keep these relatively short. I mean, I'm under 40 minutes because I know you guys are busy and you have a ton, I'm sure, going on. But we'll get you back on the show again soon, okay? It had been too long before we talked this time.
It has been way too long. I love you. It's great to see you. Let's give you 3 Magical Butter machines for you to give out to your listeners on the different formats that you put your podcast out on. We'd love to. Together we win. That's really what it is, for the listeners, for you, for everyone. Let's build the community. I love you. I love your listeners. I love everybody. Hope the week is spectacular. Go out and get it, guys.
His name is Garyn Angel. He's the founder and CEO of Magical Butter. Together we win. magicalbutter.com, linked in the description of the podcast below. And then we'll also coordinate with Garyn when we get off the air, and we'll give away a couple of those Magical Butter machines so you guys can try it for yourself and see what all the hype is about. Because like Garyn has said, the hype isn't just out of anywhere. You know what I mean? These people are using the machines. They're loving what the company is all about, and they're so easy to use. I've seen them in operation before, so I can say, quality equipment. You have to check them out, magicalbutter.com. So stay tuned. We'll have more for you on that. As for this show, we will wrap up now. Thanks for listening to us, be it on iTunes, SoundCloud, StayRooted.com, or watching the video version of this podcast on YouTube. Don't forget to check out Rooted TV, airing every day on Cannabis Club TV, Harvest TV, and High Times TV. We'll play a clip of this show on our High Times channel as well, so stay tuned for that. My name has been Tim Strumble, and I remind you one more time to work hard, be humble, and stay rooted. See you next time, everybody.